of the beholder, of the reader of the data. I think, it's going to be that opportunity to spin it either way. The fact is the private sector data we've seen in the economy shows that the economy is doing okay. Sure, it's a K-shaped economy, but it's not collapsing in recession anytime soon.
Yeah. All right, Bloomberg's Markets Live's Mark Cudmore, we thank you so much. We are a few minutes away from the opening trade. Futures are in the green. This is Bloomberg.
With 5 of the world's fastest growing economies...
Wait, I thought it was live? No, what do you mean a few minutes away? What do you mean a few minutes away? It just got to 0. Well, they have a little countdown here, too, for when that text is gonna advance. Okay, we'll look at that countdown. Ooh, next one. Okay, we have 36 seconds to read this. Korea think tank lifts growth outlook despite trade uncertainty. Given the expected pace of recovery, fiscal policy should gradually adjust its expansionary stance, KDI said in its special report released Tuesday. Alright, 20 seconds to spare on that guy. I guess we keep this stuff during the ads. But I thought I'm still... Oh, this ad is full screen. They paid extra, I guess, to not even have the dashboard stuff up. H2OX5. Maybe I need that. Oh. 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 Wow. That does do a lot of things at once. I feel like a lot of this late night advertising is for things that combine functions. Things that combine things. And in one products. Why is that? They're all like, why do you know, I feel like that's a real... I want a countdown on this ad. Just countdowns on everything. Oh wow. This hedgehog is deep in debt. Are you going to help the hedgehog? Or that woman? Is the hedgehog gonna... Oh, this is sad.
If you're stuck in a cycle of debt, give debt a call right now.
What's the hedgehog doing?
I gotta give our partners a lot of credit. They really have embraced
This is
both
a flashback, I think.
strategy and the Green Apron Service standard. And so the fact that we've staffed the stores up and we've added more people, we've added more hours, it actually has set them up to be able to do their job.
I think we're going to do this in 16 seconds. SoftBank unloads NVIDIA stake for $5.8 billion in surprise move. SoftBank Group Corp sort of its entire stake in NVIDIA, pocketing $5.8 billion ahead of a rash of planned investments by founder Mayoshi wanting to build his own sphere of influence supporting artificial intelligence. Okay. So, good thing we have a little padding. On Tuesday, SoftBank also announced, now we got extra, just reformatted. But, so now our markets must be open now.
Tuesday the 11th, and good morning. You want to know why European futures are higher?
Yeah.
Let me give you Exhibit A.
Okay.
This is the session yesterday on the S&P. Europe went out there at session lows. We then rallied into the close. You had Palantir up 8%. You had NVIDIA up 6%.
This palette.
It was quite the rally.
It's a classic
People
chart
clearly
palette.
wanted to buy the dip.
Open.
A little
Wait.
bit of context this morning, though.
Wait.
US futures are low.
I think they just...
And going
I think they had it wrong earlier.
So how long can Europe hang on to the gains for?
Was it just wrong earlier?
That's the story I think you want to watch.
Wow.
Things are looking good.
Wow. That was a countdown to the ad break. They were wrong about when the open is. Okay. Now I... Fitzy.
We got. There's potential easing that is priced into this market potentially this morning, not to mention some very sector-based places as well. The DAX, on the other hand, Anna, virtually unchanged at the moment. I think this divergence that you're seeing is really close.
Wait. What's the divergence? The FTSE and the DAX. I'm watching Swiss stocks for sure. What's going on over here? Russell. R2K, baby. I remember that one.
is the data
What
not bad
happened?
enough that throws people off thinking that could be a good thing for
I guess
UK house
everything was
builders?
down
Maybe
in
that's the case. So we'll watch
March.
to
I
see if they
haven't
go
been
higher
following
at the start of trade.
Bitcoin.
LVMH in focus. We've had
How's
some excellent
Bitcoin
reporting around
doing?
LVMH nearing a China
Back
store
over
opening, or some
100K.
China store openings.
Okay,
Luxury
great.
demand rebounding seems to be a bit of a theme as we've gone
Phew.
through this year. And Swiss
Phew.
stocks guide in focus
Phew.
as we get closer, it seems, to
3
a
a.m.
reduced
So
tariff
that
rate for Swiss exports.
that time is like the canonical time of the program. It's right, like, why is it saying Eastern time? I'm right now in San Francisco. They're in London. How does Eastern? I mean, I know that's where Bloomberg HQ is, but oh, I missed this countdown ending. Is this? Oh, is this first?
There is a catch-up trade
First Prince?
here that we need to factor into our thinking. So where do we go from here, I think, is the more interesting question. US futures are currently negative.
Now it's starting to
so just
move.
bear that in
It's
mind
pretty
when you look at the numbers
exciting.
out of Europe. You're basically looking at yesterday's session over in the United States, here in Europe this morning. The CAC is up by
Okay.
0.3%. I'm going to assume that the DAX and the SMI take a little while to get going, but I think there's some interesting stories buried within.
Why do
We'll come
they
back to those
take
in just a
time to
moment.
get going?
Absolutely. Well, one of the key characteristics of yesterday's trade
supposed
was
to
this
all-
idea of technology, of course, driving the biggest moves.
I guess
You had
everything
principles
was-
in there as well. The idea you had healthcare, you had gold
What
stocks as well
was-
that were moving higher. It's a similar story in today's trade as well.
Why
You're
didn't I
seeing
even
across the
know
trade,
that there
but the
was such a
outperformers are really the defensive ones.
crash
That's why I'm quite
in
keen, Anna,
April,
to wait for
early
the
April?
Swiss index to open, because not only are you going to get the
Was
healthcare read
that-
through, the Swiss stocks tariffs read through as
Was
well,
that
but also
tariffs?
some consumer plays like Nestle in there.
Yes, I mean, we are
Tariffs?
getting maybe a little bit
Iran?
of the Swiss story playing in already, because just opening up the consumer products and services
I guess I
sector.
should know this if I watched more often. That's
That's
all up, that's good.
Is up by just shy of 2%. Also,
Alright, prepares to bring
rather
home 3.
bizarrely, in the same sector,
So you asked me what makes them stranded. Are they stranded? How long were they supposed to be up there?
Benefiting, so from those two separate stories
House
entirely,
go-to
but rate cut
CEO.
expectations in the UK on the rise.
Wheat
Lower
dips.
tariffs expectation around Switzerland.
Debris crashed into. I didn't know debris crashed into
Stocks in consumer products and services. Telecoms is
their
also
spaceship.
higher,
I didn't even know
8%,
that.
and Vodafone is the standout gainer. It popped up
Maybe I
5%
should
at
watch
the
the
start of
news.
trade. It's now up by just 2.8%, but this is a business that has reported numbers this morning. Returning to growth in Germany on wholesale revenue seems to be the
Yeah,
top
we
line
love
from our reporting team about what it is
zero.
that's going well over at
Bottom and
Vodafone.
top. That's a good
Maybe
point. But
appropriately
it's
on a day like
interesting,
today,
you know.
we see
It's
defense stocks down.
the way it's
is
sorted.
the biggest weight on the market this morning in terms of the stock 600.
You know,
but
these
the
are
other
upside
is
down
soft.
relative to
You've got Thales soft as well.
others. It's
Saab
not a
is down,
single
BAE
sort for
Systems,
everyone.
All of those. If I'm looking at a sector
I mean, that
that is moving as low
works,
this morning, it's probably actually the defense stocks.
You get it. That's
that are on the
volume. I think that's trading
Do
volume.
valuations, does the weight of valuations matter
Relative
from
to what?
sector to sector? Let's get a little bit more expertise on
I
this
don't
and
know.
bring in Helen Jewell, Chief Investment Officer for
How's this stuff
Fundamental
doing?
EMEA over
Brent,
at BlackRock. Joins us around
Brent,
the
that's
table.
oil, right?
Earlier this morning,
Aluminum.
Helen, we saw SoftBank come out and talk
Platinum.
about that they are
What do you
actually
use
had
platinum
sold their
for?
stake in NVIDIA back in October.
Vodafone.
And I think it brought up the question of, is this a
Like, China's still
tell, are they
paying.
ahead of the game of some
China
sort of
was
bubble, pop,
postponed after
pullback, you name it. But then you see
by
a
small
session like
pieces of
yesterday where
space
technology is outpacing everyone else. This morning you see
LVMH.
defense, which is also
Ooh,
a very lofty
LVMH
valuation.
opening in China.
How do you think about how much weight
Interesting.
investors should be putting on the topic of valuation?
Okay.
Great to be here, and
ASML.
evaluation is always top of mind for everything that
Love
we look
it.
at.
Classic.
It is really important.
How are
And
they
at the moment,
doing?
What you're
Wow.
seeing, particularly in those
So
AI
what happened?
names, is that they are priced for a certain level
What
of
happened
growth to
then?
come through,
Everyone
but they're not
remembered
priced
who
inexpensive
ASML is?
If you assume the growth is coming through.
What changed?
But anything that brings in any
Like
kind
war
of
threat or
nervousness
something,
that-
or sanction
that growth
tariffs?
isn't going to be
Tariffs?
delivered, you
Is that
see some
no
big rotations
tariffs?
out of
Well,
those names.
other tariff
And
stuff.
with them, as we saw yesterday,
What happened to
quite
ASML
quickly
there?
we see them rebounding. So the valuations
Sony.
don't look crazy, but they do if there's nervousness on the growth story. And that's
Composite?
why the AI story, of which we do
Why is that
remain
so
bullish,
flat?
and we do think that there is a lot further to go. It is
Is that
likely
just
to
very
be a
low
volatile
volume
ride. I mean, someone
intraday?
said to me,
Why is
there's
that
a
so
famous
flat?
saying, volatility is the price of entry to the market.
That's green,
Maybe
then
when the
red.
rate is a little bit higher, and you can get double-digit returns almost everywhere globally.
So
The cost of
okay.
entry is that bit higher.
I almost
Defense
thought for a
maybe is
second it
slightly
was a
different.
touch screen
On
because
the
I
defense
accidentally
side of things,
touched
although
that.
we do remain still
7,
positive on the
6.
defense
We're gonna get
story.
this China
There
store
perhaps is
openings.
less in terms of the upside
Luxury
that there is to
slowdown,
AI.
maybe
And I think what
bottoming
you're seeing
out.
there is
Okay.
always the case. You have to rotate capital from
Rhine-
somewhere. You know, if you are going to reinvest in perhaps
Rheinmetall.
other parts of the portfolio,
Rheinmetall.
where we're seeing a lot of that capital come,
That's
stocks
Rheinmetall.
have done very, very well year to date, and
Fundamental
defence
equities.
is certainly in that group.
Last week,
That's a
on the
German
same topic,
metal
last week we saw
company,
the
maybe.
S&P 500 drop 4% at the
Sense.
start
Rhine
of the month,
metal.
so perhaps just flushing out some of these positions
Rhine
as well.
means river,
But I think it
maybe.
brought up again
Does
another
Rhine mean
question of
river?
if a pullback, if a retracement
Gas
in the stock
edge is
market
lower.
is the equivalent
Malaysia.
of a pump. How can you tell the difference?
So I think a
Vodafone,
pop
NATO,
is something which
allies,
has a
stop
much more
buying Russian.
substance
I
to it.
thought we already
And
tried to
more-
do that.
Something we're all
They
looking
told him
at a huge
again.
amount this time versus previous
Heath,
times
what's Heath up
is
to?
the impact of the
Heath
retail
very
investor
secret.
around it.
Okay.
Now that is going to be absolutely key.
Unch,
If you start
unch,
to see
unch,
the
what's
retail
all
investor
unch?
really losing that confidence, the nervousness is that you will
Treasury
start to
bonds
see a
or
bit of a vicious
something?
circle in terms of downplays.
But that's because
For
it's
fundamental investors,
in the middle of the
that
night.
can be a real positive because you can buy things at a
Thailand
much lower
suspends
valuation.
U.S. backed Cambodia
If we
peace
think
deal
to, at
amid
this point,
trade
we're talking
talks.
about some of the
Suspension
luxury
were made.
names that we've seen where you saw a real pullback earlier this year,
Revoking.
significant pullback.
Didn't know
If you
anything was
start by
happening
the
there.
fundamentals, those are the names that are actually starting to do well in Q4. So
Ooh,
that will be actually
look,
key.
that's
I still
good.
wouldn't see that
That's
as being a
good.
pop.
Oh
I
man,
still
that's a
think
good
this
little
is
bit
just
of
got a multi-year
visual
duration,
communication. Now
which
these
is more a
panels
case
are
of how
linked.
bad might this
Oh
performance be at
man,
any point in time. If
that's
you said
spiffier than I
on
might have
Liberation Day, we would be where we are
guessed.
now in
I
terms of the
really
market.
like
I
that.
think we would have all been quite surprised at the outcome of the market.
That is above and
Let's
beyond.
not forget, we've just had an earnings
That's
season
nice.
that has seen a real resilience. Fourth
This is
consecutive
still
double-digit
disconnected.
in the US,
Oh, and now it's
8 by
disconnected.
2.5% in Europe.
That's
That
so
is what is
good.
key for the market. So we're not nervous
I
about the
respect
pop.
that.
It might
A
just be
lot.
that the pullbacks feel a little bit scary than they've done historically.
Yeah, sort of a
But your sense is that you should still buy dips.
Very much so.
Yeah.
In the AI space in particular, which I think is obviously
good
a key area we're talking
non-interactive
about
dashboard
now.
design
The
is
key
an
thing about that
interesting
AI story is the level
object
of
of
capex
study.
and
I
the
feel
level
like
of
they do
cash
it
flow that these
pretty well,
companies
but
have.
I've never
It is
depended on
also
any
about this circularity
dashboard for
around
anything in my
the more
life.
chips that you need, the more the chips can do, the more chips
The more
that
the
you need,
chips
and
can
that
do, the
circularity
more.
around it.
Okay,
And I think also
natural
the
gas.
geopolitical nature of this.
That's
AI is not just about
cool. It's
making
down a
our lives
little.
easier. There is much, much more to this.
Okay.
So very much so. Being selective
Go
within the names, that's
Ethereum.
also very, very important. This isn't just a kind of
Go
all in on everything. And I think
S&P.
the non-profit tech names is still an area that we would be
Similar
particularly
kinks
kind
there,
of nervous
but
about really wanting to
definitely
use them.
Capital
distinct.
appreciation mode rather than capital preservation
Ooh.
mode.
Yes, yes.
What would
FTSE?
change? What would be-
I
what
need
would change
pronunciation
for you to kind of
guides on all
think
these.
about
FTSE,
altering
CAC
that?
40,
Are your
DAX,
clients still as
SME,
confident? Are they beginning to- they've made decent
Stocks
gains, as you say,
50.
you've had double-digit gains everywhere.
Ooh, now it's
Are they
linked
confident
again,
that that's gonna
ASML.
continue? Or are they
They're
like
linked.
looking at their portfolios going,
They're
"That's
glowing
not great, I
blue
want
with
to
a little
take that."
arrow.
Yeah,
A
so
little
there's two
blinking
things
arrow
going on.
because
It is
they're.
the single biggest question I think
There's some
anybody
data
in our
flow
space
happening.
is getting is, has this gone too far? Is this a bubble? And we're very much saying
No, it's
absolutely
unrelated.
no. It is a building block of any portfolio at the moment. And in terms of what might we be looking at, I think one of the key things is if in terms of what
Look
the
at
chips
that
can actually
step.
do, that starts to fade. Because at the moment, what is very different to what we saw in, for example, the .com.
I always sort of wonder,
at
at what resolution would you want to show this as just a scatter plot of trades executed? Like, is interpolating. The price isn't. I mean, it's flat only when you're
kind of cliche thing to say, it's the thing we talk about
sort of
everywhere. The
assuming last
diversification of that portfolio
price.
remains absolutely critical.
The interpolation is
Any
not that
portfolio,
meaningful
you
at
can't
really,
just- if
really
you
high
wanted a portfolio
resolution.
that was going to perform best, you'd have been
What's
100%
Vodafone
in
up
on
to?
cover
If
line.
it sets underperformance in my portfolio to play
I find
the
this scale a little
Risk-adjusted returns is probably
hard to
a better way
read.
I'd like to put it.
I feel like I want clearer marking of the year and then just like JFMAM,
volatility around the AI trade is going to be
etc.
enormous.
Yeah.
So I have to have things that are going to do less well
Yeah, I want-
in order to protect my portfolio.
To
Yeah.
balance against it.
I like the
When you've got
two-level
markets that are
ones, though,
this
as
narrow,
opposed to
when
like
you've
the
got
D3
markets
default.
where the index itself is
Do
10th
like the two-level.
percentile. If you want to have some balance in portfolios, if you
Like
want
the
to avoid weeks like last
And you're
week, we
Good
saw
color
the-
coding. You know, they cram it in. They want to make the numbers quite big. They're not being precious
We will see
and
this kind of big AI
they
mega,
want it to be
mega
big,
thing in gold
obvious.
At the moment seems to be correlated to a certain extent. But there are places
this
that
next
you are
in
able
42.
to protect
Oh, where
against
should we?
it.
I
So
guess we
if
should start with here and then go
there
over to
is
there.
a part of the
So,
market that
like,
if you were
anime
underweight, you
strength,
would have seen yourself be hurt.
trim
Japan, UK
gains,
house builders, just to take a one-day example.
profit taking
luxury
emerges. What?
goods. The
Oil
part in Europe
retreats,
that we're watching very
narrowing,
closely is
stock
those
rally
we call the
loses
sleeping giants
steam.
that haven't done what that well
Steam. A
year
lot
to
of
date,
like
in part because
metaphorical
where the dollar
words.
has
Your
been,
Syrian leader
that has now
or
stabilised.
endorsing
And what you're
CPI
seeing in
goal.
those names is the
Direct
valuations
diagnostics.
actually looking really interesting.
I and
So,
IPO.
in a short way,
A lot of
yes,
headline words.
there is diversification within the
Unloads,
market, albeit a lot of it is being
repairs,
sucked into
growth at
those
risk,
airlines.
And we talked in the
trims.
past about the link between the AI theme and some of
Different.
the clean energy plays
Yes.
in Europe.
Those
And
are the
that's thing
three
that you're
time
leaning
zones
into.
that matter.
Still, I read a Bloomberg
I'm
opinion
in
piece which
between
reminded
two
me
of them.
3/4 of electricity in Europe and the
between New
UK
York
year
and
to date
Hong Kong.
has come from clean power
Yeah.
Those are all up. Those are all
The
green.
writer says, 15 years ago,
Go.
that would be considered science fiction. So it just shows the pace at which.
Is that just
some of
all
this is
European
changing.
indices?
Is that a theme that you still play
Or
from here, or has
exchanges?
it just come so far it needs to pause?
Gold.
No, that is probably
Loving
the key
gold.
thing at the moment. The
Go
one other
gold
thing
bugs.
that could stop the big AI story, I should have mentioned this one to Guy, is that there's not enough power to literally power it. And
We've
so
heard
the
about that.
investment into keeping the power, there are so many great
about
stats that
that.
you can use around it. The amount of renewable energy is equal to China and the EU renewable coming on board between
Intraday.
2030.
Haven't gotten very
So
far
many
in
great stats
intraday
that really
yet.
put the amount of power into context. So anything that helps that is going to be super supportive. We need more energy. And the energy
How do
from
we get
whatever sources
more
it needs to
energy?
be is absolutely key. I
Nuclear,
think the other
baby.
thing we're looking at very closely as
Unch.
well is that making
Unch.
sure that we're not just always throwing the baby out with the bathwater. There's been a lot of negativity on software names, but actually what you often see is that you can have
Trim
systems and
games.
progress running alongside each other. The two
Okay.
things aren't mutually exclusive.
Honestly,
We're
this
seeing
has been
occasionally
pretty
in terms of
educational.
stock performance and earnings performance.
Just for exposing me to
But actually
some
really understanding those
themes,
stocks that are maybe like categorized
you know?
in a particular group, whether it's software,
But
whether it is the wrong
I don't
part
have
of
any-
energy, because it's not
no
deemed to
skin in
be
the
kind
game
of
because I
like
don't
part of
trade
the
anything,
solution.
you know? So I
Those
don't
names are
learn.
actually trading at a very interesting, an interesting multiple, and the earnings
Don't
are
learn.
actually much better than we thought.
Blue
Q3
highlight
earnings,
linkage. That's the
100%
highlight of the day.
Yes, so you're suggesting that some of those software names that maybe people have
Love
worried about
Bloomberg
AI
Daybreak.
competition.
I remember it being called Bloomberg Daybreak, but it says Bloomberg Opening. I feel like sometimes they call it Daybreak Europe or like online. It seems to still be accurate. I like this one too. I like heat map kind of table.
We're seeing big sector,
Yeah, that's
everything
good.
that's linked to a particular
That's good and
sector
dense.
just seems
It's
to go up or
interesting.
down in the same way. So
Do
for
they
us,
all
really
have the same number of
sifting through that
significant
is a
digits?
really,
I think
really
so.
interesting
Hope so.
opportunity, and that's something
The
that we're
place
looking at.
values all
That's something we're
aligned.
looking at as
Gotta
well.
watch out.
Right stuff, Al. Nice to
Partial
see you.
data. It's interesting
Yeah, a lot going on.
how they
Hello,
set.
CIO for Fundamental Equities EMEA at BlackRock. Let's talk about
How
some
is
of
this
those equities.
x-axis
First,
set,
This
you
is
know?
what we are looking at this morning in terms of
What's
some of the
that? Is that
narratives we're
yesterday's
watching.
of? What's the dashed line?
Some of the Swiss stocks are doing a little bit better. We're up 1% on their
Is that
scale. It's
open?
interesting to see some of the outperformance
That's
coming
current?
through in luxury names this morning.
Open that.
Appropriately, maybe, for the Fed
Yeah,
stocks.
how do they set
Let's talk to Chloe Melly,
the
who
max
will be
here
on
to show the
Good morning,
progress?
guys. So
Are they trying
Vodafone
to
is
line?
up
Where are they
quite
lining it
strongly
up?
This morning we're up 5% for
Where?
Vodafone after it
Okay, that was.
targets the upper end
Do
of
you think
its
that's
guidance, and it
in
also
camera,
returned to
or do you
growth
think
in
that's like
Germany,
blue
in
screen
Germany,
or
which is
something?
its biggest market. So it seems that
I feel like
the turnaround that we've
it's in
been seeing
camera.
for the
I
last
don't know.
couple of years under the new CEO has been starting to pay off, and it is being rewarded this
Okay.
morning with the shares up 5.6%
Good morning, Europe.
now. Moving over to